ICS any different than I treat ACAB, and Deluxe any different than I treat Nellis. And I'm certainly not going to treat Kaptyn, should this go forward, any different. But having reviewed the application and been asked for a recommendation, that's what I'm prepared to make. So as to the statutory basis, if I can, move past this one. Just focusing on one particular statute, if we can. And that's NRS 706.8827. Based on the application, based on my meetings, phone calls, based on the testimony we've just heard, I believe the applicant has demonstrated that the 5 subsections found therein, in particular subsection A, that the applicant is fit, willing, and able to perform the services of a taxi cab motor carrier, and then C, that the granting of the certificate and transferring of the 4 existing CPCNs would not unreasonably and adversely affect other carriers operating. I would additionally bring your attention to 8827 subsection 6, We've received no protest. Under our law, when we receive no protest, we can dispense with the hearing. But again, this is important. We have interested parties we're going to hear from. We do not know the extent of their testimony, but we have no formal protest. And I want to make sure that that's on the record. As to the substance, I want to start with the bells and the Valvans of the payment. So they're not only joining Kaptyn as shareholders, but also as officers. So this is an extremely important point for me. So while this is a new company asking for a new certificate, Kaptyn Nevada, it will retain the significant knowledge and experience of the Bells and the Valvans, who understand not only Las Vegas, but they understand Nevada law. So, as we know, there's significant law, there's significant regulations for Clark County, and the scrutiny of a new person, a new entity coming before you and saying, grant me a CPCN, grant me new medallions, and trust me, I've read everything that I need to know about all of the 706, NRS, and all of the regulations. The scrutiny would be much different, because the concern would be, well, what does this management team know about our law and the regulations operating in Kaptyn? Well, what we've heard is the management teams are moving over. So not only is it the ownership, but it's also Cheryl Knapp and it's Rich Frakes, so Desert folks and the Bell folks, Whittlesey folks. And that's really important for me as a regulator, saying, who am I going to be dealing with on a day-to-day basis? Do they understand the records? Do they understand the expectations on the drivers? Clearly, this is a group with significant knowledge and experience. Additionally, I've spent many hours with the Kaptyn group. Mr. Myers, I first met Andrew December 7th of 2018. Was the first time he came to my office and said, I want you to know I'm interested in this market. More than the technology, I believe that there is something that Kaptyn can do here to really raise the level of transportation. From that day on, in the subsequent meetings, phone conversations, I've got to listen to his vision as well as his team's vision that are here today. And it's not just about taxi cabs. This is an important point that we're not necessarily hearing a ton about here because we are the taxi cab authority, but they also have applications in front of the Nevada Transportation Authority for shuttles, limousines, buses, all of the assets that exist on the Desert and Whittlesey side. So it's very much a joint application between these sister agencies. But the point is that Kaptyn's vision is not a one-off taxi play. It is very much, how should transportation integrate? And I think this is to your point, Member Thompson, how does all of the transportation work together? Whether it's public, private, whether it's a sedan, whether it's a limo, this town moves and operates on how we move our tourists. And what I've been impressed by is that this is a vision as to how do we best deploy these assets. But my takeaways from his team really go to this. It's not just focused on the assets, it's focused on the people. And I think you've heard that over and over again. So when he talks about the drivers, what can we improve on driver outlook? How can we get them to buy back in? How can we invest in them so they invest in us? And I think as regulators, we run into this quite a bit where they feel, I think purgatory is a good word. Who's looking out for us? What's our future going to be like? Where do we go from here? So hearing somebody in a group talk about, we need to reinvest in these drivers. It's something we didn't hear today, but they're talking about investing in the facilities themselves. So that when you walk in, you don't feel like you're walking into an old building. You feel like you're walking into a new building that with, something as far as a gym, something as far as lounges for these drivers. I mean, they spend a lot of time here. How How do we know they're on our team? Beyond the people, obviously we've heard a ton about the technology. They're very comfortable talking about the technology. As to one of the points that was raised, as a regulator, my job is to make sure, and our job is to make sure we have a level playing field. The fact that we have voluntary relationships existing today between Kaptyn's technology and the other competitors gives me great comfort that should YCS at some point decide they're no longer the partner that I thought they were, it's a voluntary relationship. And not only is it voluntary, there are other market participants. I think Curb would be the first one to raise their hand and say, yeah, absolutely. We'd love to provide that technology and hardware and software. So I'm comfortable that moving forward, should you grant this application, that there's an opportunity here to reassess at any point where if any of these competitors said, no thanks, we're not comfortable being on your system, they can opt out. So had we created a universal dispatch and had Kaptyn truly been 100%, it would be a different story. If there was no other options, I think it would be a different story. The reality is, after they announced, Deluxe said, we want to go on the DT5. So a reasonable person, a reasonable competitor sitting in their shoes said, we're going to run towards that technology. We think it's a great option for us. So again, as a regulator, that's my chief concern, right, is how are we leveling the playing field and ensuring a level playing field, and people are doing things voluntarily. And that's what I'm seeing. Additionally, I'll tell you, I really appreciate the fact that I think it's a long-term vision. Andrew personally is moving his family out here from Florida. Again, we got to know these people as part of our background process extremely well. We talked to references. I'm not going to steal Chief's thunder and his team's thunder, but they've done an extensive background investigation into these individuals. But the fact that Andrew personally is saying, I'm all in, right, to use a Vegas cliche, I'm all in on Las Vegas. I'm moving my family here from Florida. That's no small ante, if you will. So, as we look at what happened in 2015 and the fact that this board is trying to understand the disruption of ride hailing, having a company and an entity saying, we're well aware of TNCs, we're well aware of ride hailing in this valley, and yet we're willing to invest in this market, in this taxi technology, in the limousine and shuttle business technology, is encouraging to me that it's eyes wide open. This is not a family that's been here, with legacy interests. They're saying we see the market, but we think we can improve it. We think we can bring it up. So to that point, what you have emphasized over and over again is not only is this industry vital to move 42 million people around, I think there's 28,000 conventions in this town, 150,000 hotel rooms. We have to move a lot of people around. And the board has repeatedly told the industry, and Roger, the board member Thompson, has said repeatedly, where's the modernization? Where's the investment? Where's the increased competition that's going to create innovation? And when I look at this application, it hits all three of those for me. Modernization, investment, and competition creating new innovation. So just turning now briefly to the background investigation. So I'm very proud of my team, always, but particularly Chief Aquino, Sergeant Withers, Dustin Munpower, Jessica Munpower is here. They're going to walk through what they've done. We have presented to you in the physical board package, which is a monster, and I appreciate your understanding. We have summarized those investigations. The summary does not contain, obviously, the breadth and width of all of our discussions. But the one point that I do want to make so that we're all on the same page, we investigated 6 people. We investigated the 5 officers of Kaptyn Nevada, plus the largest shareholder. That is significant when we realized there was a joint application with the Nevada Transportation Authority that is going to be taken up in the next couple of months. They are also looking at those 6 people. Under 706, they have a regulation that says 15% or more should be backgrounded. So we followed that with our sister agencies so that we're mirroring each other under state law. We're going to walk through those investigations so you can get a better idea. Ask the questions that you want of the investigators. Again, you have summaries in front of you. They do not contain the dossier, if you will, on every single individual. But again, so I thank you for the opportunity. Staff recommendation is that you would approve based on they have met the statutory requirements. And again, we'll walk through the background. Any questions for me before I turn it over to Chief?